Hello, everyone. Welcome to the newest podcast about kayak bass fishing in the nation. If you're here to talk kayaks and kayak fishing, you're in the right spot. Your host, John Suits, brings you into the exciting world of Greenfish Nation and all it has to offer. We will have special guests from product manufacturers as well as the end users from the ground level angler up to the big boy pros. The show starts right now, so get your paddles ready and let's get started.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Beyond the Paddle with Greenfish Nation. I'm your host, John Suits. If you're about bass fishing, especially kayak bass fishing, you're in the right spot. I've had a special week this week. I've had a few different bait makers on, and that will continue throughout the week. Guys, tonight we're going to have a very special guest. We're going to have Mr. Lance Tyree of LT Jigs. He does like to go by LT, so we're just going to refer to him as LT. I'm going to bring him on the stage here in just a second. I just want to remind everybody, slide over there to our Facebook, Greenfish Nation, Kayak Fishing Tournament Trails Series and Challenges. Check us out. If you're a kayak fisherman, we've got something for you there, I guarantee you. Y'all don't forget to jump over to our YouTube channel, Bass Fishing with Greenfish Nation. Hit that subscribe button. Be sure you turn on those notifications so you'll know when we do a live or we drop a new video. Also, after you've done those notifications, drop us a thumbs up, guys, so we know that you like what we're doing. Don't forget to leave us a comment. If you're just joining here tonight, I need you to grant StreamYard permission to use your photograph and your name in the comments. Otherwise, it'll just show Facebook or YouTube user. So if you could please do that. But without further ado, guys, I want to bring on LT. Hello, LT. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I really being on here tonight. I'm so looking forward to learning about not only your good-looking jigs that I've seen so many photographs of, but actually the process and things that you go through making them, and just learning a little bit about who LT is. So I'm going to turn it over to you, LT.
Well, put me on the spot. About me, I didn't even think on that. No, yeah, I'm LT. I'm nothing special. I'm nothing. I don't even know. Anyhow, I love bass fishing. I love making jigs. It's something I do. I started this back in 98, 99. I was fishing some tournaments and I loved throwing a jig. Back then, we would use a jig literally to find our depth a lot of times. I would throw a heavy half or 3/4 ounce, sometimes even a 1 ounce jig out just to sit there and drag and pull and find what kind of depth we're at and find what kind of, bottom we were over, and that was a tool, and I got tired of buying jigs. So I said, well, I want to make my own jigs. Well, I didn't have the resources to make my own jigs at the time, so I bought pre-made jigs and just used the old skirt collar jig and slid the skirt collar on it, and then went to a boat ramp. Back then we didn't have social media. Went to the boat ramp and put a couple cards out on people's trucks that were at the boat ramp, gave a few jigs away, and started little by little. Every month I would go to a boat ramp when I knew there would be a tournament there, and I'd leave my business card on people's trucks, or I'd give a couple jigs out to guys when I'd see them at the ramp. And fishing
that
one
was
day.
Our social media.
Yes, it was. And honestly, sometimes even today, I actually kind of miss doing that sometimes. But I opened my box of jigs one day to find half my box, the skirt collars were dry rotted and falling apart. And I said, you know what? I got to learn how to tie jigs. And that was I want to say 2003 or so, 2002, and I didn't really push my business from a business standpoint really hard as I do now. At that time, I was just tying jigs and enjoying creating new colors. That was the thing. I liked making new colors. I liked creating something new. And then a friend came along and he's like, "Hey man, you need to push these jigs. You can sell these jigs. You need to push this." And all right, so we took it the next step, and it's kind of just upscaled and grown from there. I use social media as a tool for my business, and it helps me a lot. I really feel pretty confident that what I do on social media is probably supporting my business the most, more than anything. And obviously, I don't really try to brag or feel like I brag, but I'm confident on what I make. I won't lie, through the years, I've had mistakes. It's been 6 or 7, maybe 8 years ago. I didn't even know I had weed guards falling out of my jigs on guys after they bought them from me, and that to me made me look like an idiot at the time. But I didn't know. Nobody was telling me. Then the guy came and told me. He's like, "Hey, look, you got a problem here." And so I pushed to fix it. It's just been a continuous of trying to make things better, trying to make things better. That's just like been my everyday goal, and still is what can I do to make this better? What can I do to make a better color that people will like more? And it has its challenges at times, but I really enjoy it. And here we are today. We have social media. There's so many tools that helps, and it's just a grind. I work a regular job and have a family, and do everything I can when I can with the family, and I spend a lot of my time out here in this room every day out here, literally, at least an hour or two every day minimum. Even on the days that I work my regular job, I'm out here doing something.
Yeah.
And
anytime you put heart and soul into it, you're gonna spend most of your free time doing whatever that is you put into it. But on the same note, those guys that are not afraid to put their all to it, they have a good product no matter what you're doing. I know I used to do construction years ago, and I trained dogs years ago. And in the dog business, I was pretty unbeatable, because if I had to get out and train from daylight till after dark, I wasn't afraid to put a bird boy out there in the field with a spotlight and throwing ducks in the dark. I couldn't see them, but the dogs could. And
right.
and I put everything into it, just like you're talking about. That's why your products are so well. Do you have a couple of them that you could show us there? I'm sure you probably do. Guys, I'm
Yeah,
telling you, these jigs are, and I've been bass fishing for years and years, but these
this
jigs are
is I can get the
spectacular.
camera right.
Yeah,
That's my
yeah,
Lone Star crawl. And there's a finesse jig that I put together earlier today.
that's a good looking jig. I like that. I like those finesse jigs with the skirt forward on them as well.
Old green pumpkin candy flipping jig. And I just moved my wall, so on the other side over here, not in the camera, is my pegboard with all my jigs product. Because it was over here, but I've had customers come by to pick up jigs, and they had to be back here in this hole, and I'm sitting over in this hole, and I'm like, "Yeah, let me get out of this hole and get out of your way so you can look." So
Yeah,
I finally was like, "Yeah, I need to move that out." But,
yeah, make it a little more convenient for them. So I guess you do
much.
like flipping jigs, football head jigs, finesse jigs, anything jigs as far as bass jigs go, right?
Yep, flipping jigs, swim jigs, uh, football jigs. I make a structured jig, and I really haven't let this cat out of the bag yet, but I will be having a different style bladed jig here coming soon.
Okay. So what are you doing as far as bladed jig goes now? Anything, or is this something totally new for you?
No, so a couple of years ago, the jackhammer come out, that's pretty much been the craze. You can't compete with a jackhammer because, well, for one, Z-Man has a patent on it, and then you can't. I've already gotten. I did a little over a year ago. Got a cease and desist letter from Z-Man's attorney's office because I was making them the same way Z-Man was making them, and it was against their patent. So had to stop doing it. Well, we have actually found a legal way that binds with their patent to be able to make it, and I'll put mine up next to a jackhammer. I'll put it to you this way: I personally went and tested it. I've had a couple other people test it. Same rod, line, reel, everything. Put a jackhammer on, cast. As soon as you engage a reel, that vibration of action. The one I've got that's coming out, same exact thing. Same line, rod, reel. Cast it out as soon as you barely even click the belly of your reel. And one time hadn't even engaged my reel. I just started moving my hand, dragging, and you can feel that blade action. And so I literally didn't see a difference. So
well, that's awesome.
I'm looking forward to that. That'll be coming out here pretty quick.
Well, good. I look forward to doing that. So I put a picture up in the top, maybe my top right corner that you sent me of a jig. Looks like it might be some type of brim color. It's got some blue and some orange in it.
Yep.
Man, I bet that thing's killer in the pre-spawn, the post-spawn, probably even during the spawn. Get that thing.
Yeah, I think it should be.
So is that a swim jig?
That's a swim jig, yes.
Okay. I'll tell you what. Swim jigs are some of my favorite ways to fish a jig. I've done real good, throwing those swim jigs over grass beds and skipping them up around docks and things like that. Man, there's just nothing like it. But I live down here by Lake Fork, and 2 times in my life, I have been broke off on a jig, and man, I just fished it. I couldn't turn. One time I was in a little old, remember those little 10-foot, like they called them buster boats back in the 80s, just little, I think they're like pond prowlers or something like that now. But man, I was out there in the middle of that lake, and it was cold, freezing rain, and I was fishing on the end of this hump, and I thought, I'm going to try this black and blue jig over there on that deeper structure. And I threw out there, and I'm telling you, I thought a freight train hit me, drugged me around and got me wrapped up and broke off. But man, I've had some huge bites on jigs, especially in the colder months.
Right.
But
I tell you, the biggest question that I get asked continuously all the time is, hey, I've been throwing a jig, but I just can't seem to feel the bite, or just doesn't seem like I'm getting bit, and I don't know how to throw a jig. And my answer to that is, and this is just my beliefs and my opinion, everybody has their own theory on it, but if you're new to jig fishing, or someone else, that might be watching or listening, if you're new to jig fishing, go get you a half-ounce jig. And if it's me, I'm throwing it on at least 17 to 20-pound fluorocarbon. Throw that thing out, flip some bushes, whatever. You will feel that with that heavier weight, you're going to feel a bite a lot easier. You're also going to feel if you're dragging or moving around any kind of cover with that heavier versus at 3/8 or a 1/4 ounce.
Yeah. So I got a comment here from a real good YouTuber friend of mine, Eddie on Texas Reeling. I'll tell you right now, he's a big jig fisherman, and he loves to throw a black and blue jig more than anybody I've ever seen, and he always does good on it. But he wants to know, do you have any custom colors that other people don't have?
I have several. So for several years, up until about a little over a year ago, for several years, all I did was custom made jigs to customer order. And I've always been a firm believer, and I would even advertise it. If there's a color that I can make and I can make it, I'll make it. And I have guys come to me all the time that they want something specific. Matter of fact, I had a customer that this looks generic, but that's what he wanted. Well, I had to get the skirt ordered for it. that's the thing is the biggest problem is skirt material having the right colors. But yeah, I still stand to that today. And there's even a tab on my website for custom jigs to select, and then you just send me an email and tell me what you're looking for or what you're wanting. But if I can do it, I'll do it. If I can't do it, I know several jig builders and companies across the states that can that I communicate with on a regular basis, and I'll connect them with them.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, that right there is a sign of a good businessman. I'll tell you right now, I'm 53 years old, and I didn't have my first job working for somebody else until I was 45. And I've learned that from my granddad, who was always a good businessman. Any man that's in business, if he can't help you, he'll put you with somebody else that will. That ought to tell you guys out there something right there about LT. If he can't get it done by his hands, he'll get it done for you somewhere. So that says a lot about you right there, LT. Well, that's a beautiful looking jig.
You little good dirty water finesse jig.
Yeah. So on your skirt material, let's kind of talk about how your jigs are made. Do you use silicone rubber? Do you use regular rubber? What do you use for your skirt material?
I mainly use silicone. It's the easiest to work with. I do have rubber, and I can make tie jigs with rubber, but on the majority, basically like my entire stock lineup on my website is all silicone jigs.
Yeah. What is your website here? We got a Facebook user wanting to know what your website is.
LTjigs.net, and you can look me up also on any social media platform. LT Jigs. I'm on Facebook, okay, Instagram, TikTok.
Okay. Are you doing some live tying and stuff like that on TikTok? And
I do.
Okay. Well, you guys slide over there to TikTok, look up LT Jigs, and he'll do some live tying for you. But you said it's ltjigs.net.
Yes.
Okay. All right. ltjigs.net. All right. Getting back to your makeup of your jigs, do you use the same brand of hook, or is it jig dependent, shape, size, aught? I mean, kind of go into your hooks with us.
Primarily I use mustad hooks for all my jigs. I do also do some terminal tackle. I was thinking I had some here. I do have some here. I have the latest and greatest thing to bass fishing right now. This is a hot ticket right here.
Oh,
is
yeah,
the hover rig.
Juggle.
But like the hover rig, I have a owner hook in those. I'm having a brain fart. My underspins come with them owner hook, but primarily my jigs. I've got some owner and some VMC and some of my tackle stuff that I make, but my actual jigs are all primarily mustad hooks. Okay. And I've never had any issues with them. Matter of fact, a few years ago, if you're in the kayak community, you're near DFW, or you've been around the tournament, kayak tournament England the last couple of years, everybody knows Clifton Allen. He's a pretty popular guy. He called me one day. He says, "Man, so I got something to show you." I said, "Okay." And a really respectful guy. He holds up his fish. He's like 9 pounds. He's like, "Well, I got a problem." He's like, "Okay." Shows me the hook. Hook's been out a little bit. And I was like, "It's happened, dude." I mean, you're like probably the second or the third person in 15 years or more, and probably about 10,000 hooks that I've ever had a hook bend out on. So it doesn't matter what brand you use. I've seen it happen with all of them. But I'm satisfied with the quality of mustad hooks, and that's why I stick with them. I haven't had any issues.
Yeah. So we talked about your skirt material and your hook, and you told me you pour all your own lead. So yes, that's all these jigs are poured right there in your shop. And then you said you use a powder coat finish on them?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now
everything's powder coat. What's that?
Go ahead.
Oh, no. Everything's powder coat, then it's cured in the oven, so it helps harden the lead to keep it from chipping off and everything. Then I copper wire tie all my skirts, and then I get to epoxy my weed guards, and if it has eyes, and epoxy the eyes. I pretty much do it all in process. Whenever I'm doing stuff for my stock, for my inventory, I do things in process. Like tomorrow, I've already planned I'll be out in the garage out there melting lead all day, pouring for heads, and then hopefully by the next day I'll be in here painting all the day, and then it'll be time. So I try to do it in segments. It's work to be more productive for myself, and made me more productive, and just manage my time a lot better, and it helps me. So that's pretty much the way I do it. Unless I get a special order, then if I got to pour it. The other day I was out of these hover rigs, and a guy placed an order on my website. I literally had to go out there and pour them, and there was I was out of one head of a quarter ounce swim jig the other day, and a guy ordered a couple swim jigs. I had to go get out there and pour them, then paint them. So stuff like that. Then I do it on the fly when I have to.
Right, but you try to keep a stock built up of like your most popular stuff, I would assume.
Pretty much everything on my website, I try to keep stock on.
Yeah, so let's talk about, like, if I wanted to order some jigs, how would I go about doing that from start to finish?
Just go to my website, place your order. Pretty much it's pretty much simple, basic website. It's nothing complicated. I don't feel that it is. My staff members that promote for me, I don't. They said they really like it. But you can also shoot me a message, but I prefer people to go to the website because I pay for the website. So that kind of helps me also when I'm spending 4 or 5 hours messaging trying to get things right. That takes my time away from being productive and being able to do other things. So that's kind of why I've been trying to push people towards my website, because it allows me to do more.
Okay, so you'd rather them go to ltjigs.net and
Yes.
place your order there. I guess, do you take like credit cards or
Take any kind of payment there is. I take Venmo, PayPal, pretty much any kind of card.
Okay.
I believe, yeah, I could even take Apple and Google Pay.
Okay, well, that's pretty good to know. You guys get out there and buy some jigs from this man. I know he'd appreciate it, but I was just trying to think of anything else jig wise that I mean, we've covered the hook, we've covered you pouring them, the finish on them. Now, you had some jigs that you had showed me pictures of that had some pretty elaborate finishes on them, like little circles and different things on the head. You do all that by
Yep.
by
Everything's hand poured, hand painted.
That's awesome, man. I'm telling you, those good looking jigs.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well,
appreciate it.
Well, do you have any other jig fishing insight for us?
Well, I don't know. I mean, a lot of people have opinions on it. I get, here's my thing: is this would be a sold jig. I haven't done nothing but poured lead on a hook, painted the head, put a copper wire tied a skirt, and epoxy the eyes and weed guards. I don't trim a jig. I don't trim the weed guard. I don't trim the skirt. And if it were me, I would take that skirt. Of course, I can't do it very good. Let me try to. I would trim that skirt right underneath the barb of that, below that hook. I would take that weed guard and I would go just right at the barb of the hook and trim it. But I don't trim mine because a lot of people like their stuff longer. A lot of people like their stuff shorter. Everybody has their own theory and their own mindset on how they like it. And that's why I leave mine alone and let the customer do it.
Right. That way they can kind of customize it on how they want their exact jig.
Correct.
So, so take us again through the types of jigs you make.
Swim jigs, football jig, finesse jig, flipping jig, and a structure jig. And then I also make the Hoover rig. I make underspins. I make shaky heads. I have what's called the hooch rig, which I don't have. one with eyes, but basically this it is. It's on my website.
Okay.
This is a keel weighted swim bait head, and those forward facing sonar guys. That's pretty awesome. I watched it on a friend's boat on a screen. Excuse me, and actually I do have one with eyes right here, but it's
Okay.
pretty awesome.
So it's got a screw lock, and then you got your
Yep.
hook. So do you have to do anything? Speaking of forward facing sonar, do you have to do anything special to make those show up better on forward facing sonar? I know there's a lot of these bait companies out there that are adding some different metallic additives and stuff like that to their lead to help uh, accentuate the jig on the forward facing sonar. You got into anything like that?
Man, I think a lot of that is marketing.
Okay.
And reason I say that, I really even shouldn't even bring this up, but I will. A company that makes a swim jig, and I'm gonna pull this swim jig out of this package. It's the same one. Actually, I'll pull this one out. This white chartreuse on it, so it can be seen a little easier. But let me get it out of this bag right quick. There's a company that's making a swim jig just like this, same exact body style, everything. They're making them in 3/4 ounce and half ounce, and they're advertising it as designed for forward facing sonar. That swim jig has been made by Dirty Jigs Company for years. They call it the California swim jig. I've been making this swim jig for years. I could sit here and go on and on. I I think a lot of that stuff is all marketing. Um, Personally, it's the fall rate. I watched a Hoover rig that was 1/8 of an ounce, and watched my hooch rig, which is a 1/4 ounce, both fall on a screen. This is kill weighted. This fell faster, and you can see it actually drop faster. And I don't know about having any additives or anything. I and I'm no expert at it because I don't own forward facing sonar. I've been on a couple guys' boats. I got a guy that promotes for me that has forward facing on his, and I've been on his boat with him and watched it and tested some products and stuff we've been working on. But as far as doing anything, I think a lot of I don't know. I think in my mind it's a weight fall transfer thing. You know, you're going to see something at 1/4 ounce is barely going to move down this screen versus something that's 3/4 or 1 ounce is you're really going to see
Right.
the drop speed
Move a
of it.
lot
You know,
faster. Yeah. Well,
right?
I've told this probably 100 times here, but there was an elderly lady in our community here that owned a bait shop for a number of years, and I'm talking probably 60 years or so. And she always told me as a young fisherman, she said, John, we sell two kinds of lures in here. Same two kinds that every bait shop sells. We sell those lures that catch fish, sell those lures that catch fishermen. And so
Right.
I understand the marketing thing. And you know, she started selling bait back in the 50s here when Lake Tawakoni came in, and sold bait up until the day she died, and she was 96 or 97.
Wow.
And that lady right there knew about baits. And she was a good woman. I would go in there and I'd be looking at a bait or something, and she'd say, she always called me old son. She said, old son, you just want to move on by that one.
I'm bad about saying that. Oh, hey, old son.
Yeah.
To the younger crowd, I got a couple friends that are younger, and actually a buddy of mine that lives out in East Texas. He's pretty much saying that. Oh, I'm always saying it to him. Dang, son, come on, son.
Yeah. So I got a couple comments here, LT. Somebody wants to know when we should start looking for those bladed jigs you're talking about. You got any kind
Bladed?
of time frame on those?
You know, I've got a couple of my staff members that are going to be out testing them here in the next couple of weeks just to do a test. I've went out and tested it myself. I'm 100% confident to release it and let it go. But I like for my staff guys to have it in their hands and tell me their feelings on it before I just make it public. But I'm hoping I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks, but I'm not doing anything crazy with it. I offer custom made color in anything I make.
Yeah.
But of course, I charge more because it's 10 times more time consuming when you're making custom colors versus my basic colors. And the Texas Reel said the jig is the fish finder. I agree 110%.
I do too.
But with the bladed jigs, I'm literally probably going to do green pumpkin, black, and white to start.
I see. Okay.
I'm probably, or I'm maybe a white and chartreuse, but I'm probably not going to even accept an offer to make custom colors for these starting out.
Yeah.
When I first release them. So I'm probably going to keep it pretty basic, starting with it, and then we'll see how it goes. But I'm hoping. Where are we at? February 14th. I'm hoping by the 1st of March. I'm hoping. Not guaranteed, but I'm hoping.
Okay, well that's good. So, you was talking about your basic colors on those. Are they going to have a basic silver blade, or is gold blades going to be an option, or what's going on with that?
Silver blades. I know I can get. I know I have the gold blades. I know I have gold, black, and silver. So I'll probably list it as an option.
Okay, all right. So those
more than likely.
Okay,
and that'll be 1/4, 3/8, half, and 5/8. I believe, if I remember correctly, on the size head of that.
Okay. So one more quick question before I forget it and it slips my mind. But what type of trailer keeper do you have for
Wire.
those? Everything's wire on all.
Gonna have a wire keeper.
Okay. That's the best kind. I think you just get so much more out of your bait with a wire keeper, I think.
This one currently only has a single wire keeper. I've debated on putting a double. But I can see it in the camera, but basically it's just a single wire keeper.
Okay, man, that really makes a difference.
I'll even go ahead and spoil it and let you see a head. I mean, the head is literally almost identical to the jackhammer.
Okay. And that same keeper is on all of your jigs?
No, that is only on that one. The rest of my jigs, I have to think here. Yeah, the rest of all my jigs primarily have a lead barb keeper on them. Okay. I can put wire keepers on some of them. Excuse me, but for the most part, yeah. By flipping, I do have a vertical line flipping jig. Matter of fact, it's just like this. But I'm fixing to go away from this. But what I have left stock of it, this one has a single barb keeper.
Okay.
But I used to offer 3 different styles of swim jigs, and I recently dialed things back so I can try to work on some orders for a couple of stores. But I offered 3 different style swim jigs, 2 different style flipping jigs, and 2 different style football jigs, and I've dialed it back to one. There's 1 swim jig, 1 flipping jig, one of everything on my website and everything. That way I can be a little more productive and work on creating. There's some new stuff that I want to try making like we did with the suture rig this past year, and we'll also work on getting in a couple of local stores soon.
Okay. So on your flipping jigs, what weights are those?
The pretty much everything on my website's 1/4, 3/8, and half, except for my finesse jigs. My finesse jigs are 1/4, 5/16, and 3/8, I believe.
Okay. Do you ever do any bigger, like 1 ounce jigs? I know I fish a lake down in East Texas. It's a power plant lake, and it's Lake Welch. And up until this year, man, it was just inundated with hydrilla. And we'd take a 1 ounce flipping jig and flip through that stuff, and those fish would just get right up under the edge of that hydrilla and you could pop through there with a 1 ounce jig and just nail them. But man, you can't hardly find a 1 ounce jig locally.
I don't make one, but good buddy, look up Hiya Bait Company. He's out in East Texas, and he makes a 1 ounce jig for flipping grass.
Okay. All right. Well, appreciate that. Well, LT, I think that's going to about wrap us up for the night. I really do appreciate you joining us. And
Yes, sir.
I'm going to drop that website one more time. It's ltjigs.net for all your jig fishing needs, whether you're wanting to throw a lightweight finesse jig, a swim jig, or a bladed swim jig, all the way up to your heavier flipping jigs. LT here, he can take care of you. I appreciate you joining us tonight, LT.
Thank you for having me.
I'd like to get together with you sometime. I know you're busy, but maybe we can get out there and do a little fishing out there on Eagle Mountain Lake.
That'd be fun. I'd be ready to go.
All right. Well, I'm going to bid you farewell. God bless you, LT. I wish all the best to you, and we'll see you down the road somewhere, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Have a good night. All right, guys, that is Lance Tyree of LT Jigs. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for joining us here tonight. I have a comment here about our guest tomorrow night. We're going to have a special guest from out in California. It's going to be Ryan Murphy. It's going to be 6 p.m. California time, so it will be 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. We had to change that around a little bit. So you guys join us here on Beyond the Paddle tomorrow night. Ryan has promised something special for us. He is going to be giving away a very nice shad imitator. If you guys are into glide baits and know what a hitch is, he has custom painted a hitch. You can slide over to any of my social media platforms on Facebook, TikTok, or on YouTube, and I have posted a video of that. So you guys be sure and join us tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. West Coast time for Mr. Ryan Murphy. Once again, I want to thank LT for joining us. I really enjoyed the jig conversation from him. Seems like a really good guy that knows the jig business. So ltjigs.net, one more time, is his website. So you guys show him some love. Get over there and order some jigs from him. Let him know that you heard from him here on Greenfish Nation. I would appreciate that. Jump over to Bass Fishing with Greenfish Nation. Drop us a subscribe. Hit that notifications bell. That way you'll know when we are going live. We are doing some live fishing now. We also are dropping occasional videos. I try to do 1 or 2 a month. Kind of slowed down on the videos with the kayak tournament series going. That's taken up a lot of my time, which I'm grateful for. If you're a kayak fisherman, slide over to Greenfish Nation on Facebook, Greenfish Nation Kayak Tournament Trail Series events and challenges. Join up with us and work your way to our national championship that will be in Caddo Lake, Texas in October. Until next time, guys, I'm John with Greenfish Nation. I want to wish all you guys tight lines.
Thank you again for joining our podcast. We appreciate your continued support. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube at Bass Fishing with Greenfish Nation. Check us out on Facebook at the group Greenfish Nation Kayak Tournament Series Trails and Challenges. We can also be found on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok under the handle Greenfish Nation. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm John, and I want to wish you tight lines, guys.